Yo, what's going on, Blackish University? It's your boy B coming at you with another reaction. This one's a bit different. This one actually started out as a book I was actually writing for my son. I have a son that's now 13. He's just entering the world. He's in 8th grade. And I wanted to list out a few things that I wanted to teach my son. And then it turned into I was going into more depth about these ways that you can navigate the world that would be beneficial for him to learn about prior to him engaging with the world. And it just turned into something that's originally how this channel got started. By researching these things, I ended up just, let's make a channel. And there's a lot of people out there that don't have fathers, right? Don't have brothers, don't have people that they can bounce ideas off just everyone. And, I'm quite honest. I'm older. I'm 39 years old. And I think a lot of people in our family, they can also appreciate the way that I've approached life. Life is kind of like a game, and you need to position yourself in order to do well, right? There's no coincidences. You have to kind of make your own luck here. So I thought about my approach to life, and it hasn't been a direct approach. I like things. I started a marketing company. We had, over 20 employees. We were doing over $1 million in revenue. But I've also owned a thrift store in the south suburb of Chicago, right? I've made moves to just kind of have fun and do things with the family, and it's honestly worked out quite well for me. But I didn't want to just take some square, lames approach, top 10 approach to life. I mean, that's just, let's be honest, there's a lot of us are more colorful than that, right? There's more, and I like it like that. I don't want to live this straightforward approach like, no, I don't agree with every law. And, I've been known to push the bar a bit. But I wanted to approach this like that. So I'm taking quotes that are from Al Capone, which is really relevant because we're from Chicago as well. I know he's a gangster, and I'm not trying to glorify that gangster life. But I do think that his quotes might be more relevant than a Tony Robbins or so. But without further ado, let's get to it.
You can get much further with a kind word and a gun than with a kind word alone.
Yeah, I mean, right? Kind words will get you far in this world, but sometimes, and I wouldn't say the gun, don't think of a literal gun, but sometimes it takes a stronger approach, and that'll get you much farther. Telling the bully that he shouldn't mess with you, or somebody's discriminating you or against you or whatnot. Yeah, there's ways to go about it, but sometimes, and this is knowledge that's coming from the inner city, sometimes you have to make your point, and sometimes that point is made with violence. Like, imagine, I'm sure you might have heard of this, hopefully you haven't if I'm getting gone somewhere, but you hear about this a lot with prison, right? You even have Martha Stewart made a joke about this on one of those Comedy Central roasts. So when you go to prison and someone tests you, and this could be the same when you're in school and someone tests you, they push you on the playground. Sometimes you just gotta fuck that dude up, right? Sometimes you gotta make your point, and it's unfortunately through violence. And then everyone knows, oh man, I ain't messing with B. That boy threw dirt in my eye, kicked me in my, knocked my head. Man, I ain't playing. That man, he doesn't play fair. And I'm like, exactly. I don't play fair, so don't play with me, right? So don't take it as a literal gun. But I am a gun supporter. I support your Second Amendment right to own a gun. But think about that. Sometimes you just have to prove a point. And peaceful protest is awesome, but sometimes you need to incorporate a little Malcolm X. We'll be peaceful with anybody who's peaceful with us. But if you lay your hand on me, and things go to that next level, best believe we can take it to that next level. And you should be someone that can hold your ground as well. So awesome quote, and definitely something to think of as you approach the world.
A bullet changes a lot in your head, even if it hits in the ass.
Yeah, right. A bullet. Everybody's a thug, right? Until those bullets come. A bullet changes a lot. Even when it misses, I would say, because you know how fragile your life is. And trust me, it's not worth taking a bullet over anything besides family, right? Don't people out here trying to fight for a block that's not yours. I understand the dynamics that make it what it is, but you got to understand your life is much more valuable than that, right? So a bullet changes a lot. And to the young brothers in Chicago and these inner city areas, think about everything you're losing out on. All these other families that are suffering. It changes a lot. Any bullet can, even when it misses, or in this case, when it hits in the ass.
Can you forgive an enemy? God will forgive. Our task is to arrange their meeting.
Slick, right? These are quotables, and think about that. Can you forgive an enemy? I don't know. Depends on what you did, right? I'm not I wouldn't call myself a very religious man. I've been open to religion. But can I forgive someone? You steal $20 when you were down bad. I get it, right? Everybody's been there. You do something as my kid, right? Yeah, of course I'll forgive you. But you push that wrong button. Can I forgive you? That's not my job, bro. God will forgive. Our task is to arrange that meeting. We're going to send you on your way. Travel well, my friend. Hey, I think it speaks for itself.
Nothing personal. It's just business.
Love this one, and it will come out throughout your life, right? Throughout your life, you'll hear this, and you'll have to say this to yourself too. I've had to fire a friend before. I fired a friend. He had a baby on the way, and he was just being bogus, calling me directly instead of the person that was his direct boss, and just taking advantage of a situation. And I had to fire him. And this man asked me to be his son's godfather. They're my firstborn. I'm friends with the wife, and I have to do this, man. You're putting pressure on me. You're making the wrong moves. It's nothing personal, bro. It's just business. And it comes around a lot. You know how many times I've been saved by good contracts? I'm a person that believes in the legal system, especially when working with family, friends, or business. I don't know how many times somebody's asked to borrow money or to be put on in some sort of way. Can you co-sign for me this? Can I be an authorized user on your card? And what do? I come up with a legal contract. You know how many times I've heard, bro, what the hell? What's this? Bro, nothing personal. It's just business. That's it. The business and personal life, completely separate. You're talking about borrowing some money and it's over $100. We're writing up a contract, bro. If you got enough time to come here and express your problems and blah, 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 you got enough time to sit down as I draw up this contract. And I don't know how many times I've heard that, and the contracts come back to help me because things hit the fan, and I put somebody on and they're not paying rent, or there's some other issues going on, or nothing personal, it's just business. And the quicker you can reach this realization, the better your life will be. And throughout, when you realize that you're not at work to make friends, but you're there to do good and reach the next level of success, nothing personal. It's just business. I'll talk to you on lunch or hit me up after work and we can grab a beer or smoke a joint, whatever you do. But during work, I'm gonna get this. Don't think I'm some lame because I'm doing my job and I'm doing my job well. It's nothing personal, bro. It's just business, right? Excellent quote.
As a child, I prayed to God for a bicycle. Then I realized that God works differently. I stole my bike. Prayed for forgiveness.
And it depends on what you want, right? Because I got to tell you that throughout my life, I've approached this from both ways as well. There's some things, maybe not, necessarily literally stealing something, but sometimes it's a different approach that's going to work. Do you need to act a certain way or dress a certain way to make a career for yourself? Do you need to present yourself to the world uh, a certain way? Yeah, yeah. But sometimes it's okay to realize, like, sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness than beg to get in, right? Sometimes it's better you just got to make a move. Back into my day, we used to just simply call it, "Don't be a bitch." Don't be a bitch, bro. Go do that. You wanna. Sometimes you're not gonna know if people ask, "Yo, man, that club looks so sick, bro. You think I can go? You think I can get in?" It's like, you know what, bro? If you have to ask, it's probably not for you, bro. Sometimes it's better just going to go do it, bro. What's the worst that can happen? They're gonna throw you out the club, tell you can't get in. Sometimes it's simply better to ask for forgiveness and make your move, so you don't get stuck in any one place in life.
Some people play safe not to lose. You'll definitely lose if you play safe.
Yo, shout out to all my square friends, man. You gotta love them. And I don't know. I'm built different, and I realized when I went in college, that other people are built different too, right? There's some people that just have a completely different mindset and different approach to the world, and that's fine. But there's some dudes, like I have a lot of my Mexican side, my old brother-in-law, my family. These guys will go to work at the same factory that their dad worked at for 30, 40 years. And that's okay. They're about to start their career there, if you would call it that, and they'll probably be there 20, 30, 40 years. And they know they'll never be rich. They know they'll never, quote unquote, succeed, right? But their level of success is just paying their bills. They want stability, and that's okay. The world needs people like that at different levels. But you also need entrepreneurs and people that are never satisfied, that are always looking to make their next move. And that never stops. And that's definitely the approach that I've had to life. Always have something that you're working towards. Even if you're older, you go to school and you take some time off and you have a kid and you get a job and things happen. I get it. But you always set a goal for yourself, a short and a long-term goal. Go back to school. Get your associate's degree. Finish your bachelor's degree. There's so many online options, right? Get your master's degree. Take risks. Don't just be happy at some job because it pays the bills. Like that type of life sucks. And that's exactly what Al Capone is saying here, right? He's saying some people play safe so not to lose. They don't want to lose their financial security. They don't want to lose or risk their life. They don't want to lose respect amongst their family, whatever it might be. Al Capone saying, you'll definitely lose if you don't play it safe. Maybe you'll make it safe until you die, but no one will know you for any one thing. You never took a stand. One would argue, did you really live? So that's just deep if you really think about what he's saying there.
I will give 36 of my thugs for one person who can solve questions by talking.
Yo, and I've been talking my whole life. That's a stupid comment, right? But I should say I've been professionally selling or professionally speaking since very young. I had a cousin that tried to put me on by bringing me, he was a commodity broker, downtown Chicago, different world for me. When I was younger, he brought me there to try to get me away from the streets of Chicago, and he had me doing cold calling out of a street address phone book. And I would call people and ask them if they had an interest in investing or learning more about commodities. And it would be amazing the type of conversations that you can get into. And you start to learn how to have good openers and how to judge what people are thinking and when to do that necessary pause. And it's so funny because later in life, as I grew and I developed my education, I got my associate's degree, started going to school for my bachelor's degree. you learn skills, oral communication skills, English skills, and even professional speaking. But there's something about that uh, learning sales and learning how to communicate with people, understanding psychographics, right? Not necessarily think of selling, and most people think of, um, how they buy. But at psychographics, you think of why they buy. Why is it that they're buying this particular product? Is it something specific to their demographic? Is it something that makes them feel cool, makes them feel successful? And you learn about that. You can, let's say if I'm dealing with a chief information officer or a chief technical officer or a chief operations officer, those different people, we can assign a profile to them that, okay, your average person is probably between 32 and 48 years old. Normally has a bachelor's degree, is some sort of mid-management, but not a true decision maker. He probably has above average credit, a reasonable car, more than likely a full-size car or a medium SUV, more than likely middle America within an hour of a metro area. They're probably experiencing some balding, probably getting a bigger waistline, probably getting income that's in the six figures. So as you start breaking this down, I can start putting together a script as to how I can approach this sale. What are things that might be relevant to him? Where are points that we can meet in the middle and communicate? Does he have a receding hairline? Has he looked into micropigmentation or different hair options? He's probably a guy that's looking into different weight loss or fast weight loss options, and he might have some income to spare, right? Maybe he has a kid that's going to college, or you can look. There's different approaches that you can have that would make this conversation more relevant when I do speak with them. And it's just a very valuable skill, because when you learn that, you can approach the world differently, and you can communicate with people because you understand. I know what girls want. I know what girls need, and I know the top probably 2 to 5 things in her life right now. So guess what? I'm old school, right? I'm born in '82. I'm 39 years old. There wasn't social media. We didn't swipe left or right for chicks. When you wanted to approach a woman, you had to get her phone number. And you needed to have her write it down. So you needed to have a pen. You needed to have paper. And most importantly, you needed to have game. Because you only have a very short window of time, just like a cold call, where you can go up to a girl and show her that you're not a lame, that you're intelligent, and you have something intelligent to bring to her or to the conversation, and you have to kind of impress her. I recommend a magic trick or a witty joke. But you know what's important to her because you understand her demographic, because you probably like women that are all somewhat alike, right? Puerto Rican chick with a big butt. I like black chicks typically that are a little bit taller. I like, whatever it might be. Well, what's important to her? And if you know that, you can have a great conversation with her. And it works with college professors. It works with employees, people that you, co-workers, student friends, in a fraternity. You're meeting someone, you're going to a social event, or I'm a fraternity guy, Omega Delta Beta chapter, NIU, and it's a great fraternity. They have a rush process, and you go there and people want to see, who are these new cats? Are any of them cool? What do they bring to the table? Are they just talking about their academics, or what are their goals in life? What's their 2 to 5 year plan? And when you know the type of person they are or what they're looking for, you can answer them, right? You can bring that to the conversation or to the table. So his quote, "I will give 3 dozen of my thugs for one person who can solve questions by talking." I think that's what he's referring to. There's that little thing that you can't really learn in school. There's a little thing that not just anyone can do, and it's called having excellent communication skills. It's being able to read a room and understand the moves that you need to make to either calm someone down or sometimes piss someone off. So just an excellent quote. Something that these again, with any of these quotes, they can apply to the business world as well.
Hell must be a pretty swell spot, because the guys that invented religion have sure been trying hard to keep everybody else out.
Yo, and shout out to anyone who's been blessed with faith and is good with religion, because I got to tell you, I struggle with religion at the institution itself, and I struggle with my faith. I always have, and I might always. But this is so deep. He's saying hell must be a pretty swell spot, because the guys that invented religion have been trying hard to keep everyone else out. Anytime you hear of a war, a genocide throughout history, what can we trace it back to? Religion. People are willing to fight and die for what they believe, and it's crazy, man. I've never been someone that's religion's has been that important to me. But I'm sure he gets a lot of that, or did in his day, where people are like, man, why are you making some of these decisions? You're going to go to hell, and he's probably like, yo, hell must be, hell must be a pretty swell spot. He said the guys that invented religion have been trying hard to keep everyone else. It's just, it's kind of witty, not too deep, but it's still a good quote.
If your friends ask you to negotiate with your enemy, then the traitors have already agreed behind your back.
Wow. To negotiate with your enemy. And, that's extremely relevant to the business world as well. When someone that's always in your corner and always like, no, don't do, and then they're finally like, man, go talk to him, man. You never know what he brings to the table. It's like, what? Are we on the same page? What happened to my boy? Well, a lot of times, especially in the business world, they might be incentivized to have you lean one way or the other. And it's important to know that. And incentive might be different. A lot of people, in the business world, it might be more financial. But if you're Kanye West, it might be someone getting access to your hard drive, right? There might be somebody might be trying to influence you. And a lot of times people have already predetermined how they're going to approach you and work you. It's just important to know who you have in your circle.
Be correct with everyone, sociable with many, close to the elect, friend to the few.
Yeah, I think a better way to say that now is, you have your friends, but you also have your associates, and they're not on the same level. You're right. I got my boys that I went to grammar school, high school with, been through some, childhood trauma, but also lived our life together, grew up together, that are my great friends. I've met other friends, but I've met more associates, people that I approach everyone the right way. I give everyone the benefit of the doubt. One would argue that I'm a very social person. My wife's always saying, man, you're like the governor of this block. You're always walking around talking to everyone. Hallway monitor face, right? Oh, hall guard. Look at you. But, I think this is a great quote. And again, it's saying, be sociable, talk to everyone, for different reasons. Sometimes, you'll hear people say, it's important to keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Yeah, you want to know what other people are working on, what they're doing, especially if it benefits you in some way, or it might not, right? But friend only to a few people. Who would you borrow money to? It better not be all your associates. No, there's just friends where where they'll be in a year or two, or where they're good for it, right?
Be careful who you call your friends. I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies.
Yeah, I think there's different variations of this. They got memes nowadays that say, I'd rather have 4 lions, right, than 100 llamas or whatever you want to say. I don't know what the best way to put that would be. But yeah, be careful who you call your friends, right? Not everyone that you say what's up to is your friend. And you got 100 pennies, you got 100 people that'll say what's up to you, but not really care what you say back. Or you got 4 people that will sit there, have a conversation with you, talk about the future, bounce ideas off each other, talk about your issues, stress you might be having, different approaches you might take. Who would you go to for guidance, right? Who are you defining as a friend, and how are you defining that? Quality is much more important than quantity.
Sometimes it's better to tolerate fools. You can learn something worthwhile, but never argue with them.
Yeah, that's deep. People always say, it's better to tolerate a fool for quite some time, because you can you can hear what they're talking about, right? A foolish man. A lot of times, fools think they're wise, right? Wise men know the truth. That it's normally the quiet person in the room that's the most intelligent. The person that's being belligerent, obnoxious, loud. A lot of times they're the most insecure. And they say never argue with a fool because you bring yourself down to their level. You're never going to win that argument. They're foolish. Why do it, right? From a philosophical point of view.
The world belongs to the patient.
I don't know exactly
Do
what
not
he
shake
means.
the green apple tree. When the apple is ripe, it will fall down by itself.
That's deep, and there's a lot of different ways that you can interpret that. The one way I think of it, right, just hearing it like this is, don't rush things. Whatever it is in life, some things happen naturally, and it's important to be patient. Maybe that's what he meant by that last quote about. We'll get back to that be patient one. I didn't get the reference at first. It could be something with timing. He was 1899 to 1947. Like the lingo has changed a bit, right? But back to this quote. Don't shake the green apple tree. If you ever been around an apple tree, my grandma right next door, northwest side of Chicago, they had an apple tree. The neighbors did, and yeah, those apples fall naturally. And when they rot, you pick up the rotted ones and you launch it into the tree, and it knocks down fresh apples, and then you'll get some new ones that you can eat. But yeah, be patient. Things happen, and sometimes it's better to wait. Don't pull the pizza out before the timer goes off, right? It's not cooked, and the bottom's going to be soft and mushy. And there's a lot of things like that, whatever it might be. Think about it. If you're investing, you made an investment and things might get rocky. Yeah, you can pull out right now. Yeah, you can. You'll make a little money. But think about it. If you can weather the storm, right, it's going to be better in the long run. So, excellent quote.
I'm a businessman. I've made my money supplying a popular demand. If I break the law, my customers are as guilty as I am.
And for those of you that don't know about Al Capone, who was the original Scarface, right? The one that they called actually Scarface. And he ran the Chicago mob, right? The Chicago outfit. And I don't know a lot of the particulars. I obviously know a lot about not a lot, but I've studied Al Capone. I like his approach on life. This guy was getting his money, but of course there was a lot of bloodshed as well. But he made a lot of his money through bootlegging, right? Running, making liquor and supplying the masses. And he's saying, I'm just a businessman. I'm just here. I'm filling this void. And one can argue that, right? That's why they say people buying weed. Now, there's a lot of dudes locked up or they got a record for weed. And they were just supplying the need. There's a demand for it. And he's saying, if I break the law, what about these hundreds of people that they're breaking the law too, the ones that are buying this stuff? And a lot of times you'll be surprised who's actually buying. But yeah, great quote. Still, I wouldn't recommend breaking the law at the level he did, but great quote.
Listen to the advice that gives you an advantage, but do not give such advice to anyone.
Yeah, definitely. And I would add to that you should be very careful who you take advice from. I used to approach this when I was young, and I would work for different companies, and you're sitting there during an interview. Obviously, this is a long time before COVID, when people actually had live interviews. I'm in a full suit, shaved, and ready to go, and they ask you, and they're starting to talk to you about the position. I would always say, really, whoever your top 2 or 3 producers are, if this is a sales job, I just say, sit me next to them, and I know who to go to for advice. And if I'm given the same resources and the same information, I can do as good a job or better than anybody that you have on staff. And they would always be like, wow, that's saying a lot. Welcome to the team. You got the job, right? And, you have to, but you have to be careful who you listen to. There's a lot of people when you get a new job and they're like, hey, you know how it asks you to press F1? Don't press F1. Just press return, and it makes you look like you're doing the work twice as fast. Well, there's a reason why that guy might not be where he is in life, right? He might have taken that shortcut too many times and he's on a chopping block, or he might be, he doesn't know that people are on to him. So be careful who you take advice from, but also listen to the advice that gives you an advantage. When people are trying to put you on, especially older people or people that are in your circle, listen. But yeah, hey, be careful who you give advice to too, because I referenced before that I owned a marketing company, and I've tried to tell people how to make money doing this and make money from home. I'd say I could teach anyone to make $5,000 to $10,000 from home in a month and do it consistently. And I can do it. The training wouldn't be more than a week at best. I'm trying to put you on, but we got to be careful, because when you start telling everyone your secrets, then it just floods the market and people are just, it's not as valuable anymore, right? You think of like a mattress firm. That's probably a bad example, but they're not as valuable because they're on every freaking corner. Like, it's better if you have 1 or 2 or 3 of something strategically placed, because it gives you an advantage, multiple advantages. So again, that's just good advice.
Don't test the depth of the river with both feet.
What that means is don't jump in without knowing how deep something is, right? Don't ever fully commit yourself without first taking a little bit of a test, and that's with anything, right? Don't buy the cow unless you sample the milk. You could say that's the approach to women. And sorry, I'm not a misogynist. I know that's not a great way to put things, but I'm approaching this as like a letter to my son, if you would. Not that I want him to, I know that can go a different direction, but what he's saying is, if you test the depth of the river with both feet, well, what happens if it's a 40-foot river, right? You're now sinking. So you always got to have 1 foot on solid ground. So remember to approach the world this way. You want to buy that truck, then test drive it and see if you fit well in the seat. You think this girl might be the one? Well, do that old school. What is that movie with Colarginal? What is that? A mind is such a tragic thing to waste. He says when a girl, and if she's the one, you only get 3 in your lifetime, right? He says when you open up the door for her, right? She gets into the car, then you close the door, and then you walk around the back of the car to your side. And if she reaches over and pulls up the door lock, that means she's a keeper. That's it. That's the test. And the Colarginals, like little C as they call them, or C. That's the test, right? And he's testing her to see if she cares for him. So with anything you do, business, right? What do? We do an approach where we look at the positives, we look at the opportunities. It's called a SWOT analysis. And so there's different tests you should do. Test for anything that you approach in life, and remember to approach cautiously.
Work out the problems as they come up.
Yeah, you know what? This is a big one because you hear so many people are just stressed out, and they talk about everything going on in their world, and it's like, yo, if everybody talked about all the problems they had all the time, this world would be a crazy place. You would just freaking curl up and die. What does Dave Chappelle say? He said, I'm not smoking weed anymore. He said, with black people. And he said, no, y'all white people, you just win by default. And he says, man, I smoke weed to get away from my own problems, not talk about yours, right? But, you got to work out problems as they come up. You got a tax bill. Well, when does that tax bill due? By the next quarter? By the next one? That's a problem for future you. Yeah, if you can address it, good. If you got the money to address it, good. If you got the credit to address it, good. But if you don't, and there's nothing you can do about it, what good does it really do to just stress yourself out? You got to think intelligently. You have to approach the situation as it comes up. Like, okay, I got this bill, right? If I can't borrow it, if I don't got it, what can I do to get it? You might need to pawn something. You might need to XYZ, right? Who knows what level of desperation you're at. But handle your problems as they come up. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't prepare for them, right? If you see like, yo, you got a big bill or so coming up, start putting aside for it. Start preparing for it. Hopefully you have enough money where you're not operating at zero. You should always create your threshold, and that should improve as you get older. Right? When I was younger, $500 was my zero. That's when I hit $500, I always said, I don't have any money because this is untouchable. And as I got older, that amount increased. And I did the same with when I had a business. What I did was, at the bare minimum, you need to have $3,000 to $5,000, and when you can, right? And when you first start up, it's like, yo, I hope I don't get a return because, she's gonna have to wait, right? But as you develop your business and you start bringing in revenue, it's important to tuck aside money, and that's your new bottom line, so that you can always handle returns and you got enough money to float you in case something doesn't work out. And trust me, things always happen. But yeah, handle problems as they come. Don't spend too much time worrying about worrying, right?
Capitalism is the legitimate racket of the ruling class.
Wow. Yeah. It is, right? The way people buy and sell and the greed that is in America, it's the racket. It's the another word for racket is like your crime, your organization's crime. They're basically saying ruling class. The ruling class of this world, whatever that might be, by status or most influential, political, to the ruling class, capitalism is the biggest game that they're running. And trust me, it is a game. And if you don't know, that's probably one of the reasons you're not winning, right? It's a game to get ahead. It's a game to get money in this world. It's a game to get assets, very similar to how you would approach a monopoly. But what Monopoly doesn't have is haters coming at you, baby mamas needing money, police harassing you, family members getting shot, riots and protests for change. So there's a lot going on in the world today, but there's a lot going on with the ruling class, and they're making these decisions that help them stay the ruling class. So it's a legitimate racket.
Everything you do comes back to you.
Wow. Yeah. Great words of advice. Think of a boomerang, right? You throw a boomerang, it always eventually circles back to you if you throw it right. Um, and I'm sure this was true in the mafia days as well, with people getting hits, and especially in somewhere like Chicago. If you're not from Chicago and you're watching this from the suburbs or so, you're going to learn real quick in Chicago that you do something, you put something out into this world, it's going to come back to you. It's going to circle back to the person that you're talking about, speaking against, the person you harmed, and it'll come back, and it will jack you up, and it reserves the right to whoop your ass, And this is the same at different stages in life, right? You go off to high school, you go off to college. Guess what? Don't get yourself in any drama. Everything you do comes back to you. Back in my day, I was Mr. Steal Your Girl. I'm gonna approach her and be cool, and I might steal your chick, bro. And it's happened a few times. Unfortunately, I'm not proud. But and that was who I was. But sometimes be prepared, because if you smashed old boy's girl, guess what? He might be coming up like, yo, you took my girl, bro. What's up? What are you on, bro? Right? Everything comes back to you, even in the working world. You want to make shortcuts and, maybe sell a cheaper product. Yeah, it might work initially because you'll get more sales. But then your name is tarnished online. And now you can't sell because you just have a bad reputation. So just remember, everything in this world does come back to you in one form or another.
The country wanted booze, and I organized it. Why should I be called a public enemy?
I think that's just as straightforward as it comes.
All the dead were hanged on me, with the exception of the victims of World War II.
Wow. There was Al Capone is infamous for the level of violence that Chicago had at this time. But he's saying, I was responsible for all the dead, right? Any crime that was going on, I was the one blamed for it, with the exception of the victims of World War II. Everything else, that's on me. I just say it's showing that, who he was at the time, and that sometimes, there's always someone to blame. And if you don't know that, wait till you get to more of the corporate world, where if there's a F up, someone normally has to be held accountable by upper management. And as that comes down the line, none of these mid-level managers want to lose their job. So normally you have to pin it on someone. And if you don't know who you're going to pin it on, you're probably the one stuck holding the potato, right? It's probably you. So just hard lessons, but you really won't get it until you're in the working world and you understand there's rules, right? Just how you learn to move in an inner city like Chicago or New York, Detroit, and you have to move with purpose and you have to approach the world the right way. You'll learn very quickly that in the business world, it can be very cutthroat. And people will try to blame things on you all the time and just slow down your success, especially as a person of color. Hopefully it's very different when this next generation comes up into the working world and the business world. But when I was coming up, again, I was born in 82. I'm 39 years old right now. This is 2021. When I was coming up in 2000s, after college, like 2004, 2005, 2006, there's still a lot of people in the workforce that are very racist, right? They want to approach things a certain way, and that they're too old to change or too stupid to change, and you're going to have to deal with it. I've heard some very racist things in my time. Some of them were directed at me, but some were normally, it's just something that I was listening to or part of a conversation that for whatever reason someone felt comfortable. I would always get this, oh, you're not like them, right? You're not like them. You're more like one of us. You speak well, you're intelligent. I was like, what? What? You can't say that, bro. I speak well for what? For a colored person? Are you amazed that I can read well, or that I can even read at all? It's crazy. Or when people calling you boy, or you're just simply getting harassed. I've been harassed walking into a downtown building. Let alone, I used to shave my beard. Actually, fun fact, before we move on to the next one of the reasons I had the beard, I grew the beard out, is because when I retired from more of the working world or the corporate world, I always had to shave. I always had to be this other person, clean myself up in three-piece suit, and not always, but that's how I've been most of my working life. And now that I'm older and a bit more chill, it's like, dang, you know what? I'm going to wear a stupid brown hat and I'm going to grow my beard. Why? Why? Because fuck 'em, that's why.
If you must lie, be brief.
Yo, deep. And this is something, from a legal perspective, one thing that we always say, and if you don't take anything away from this, remember this: if you ever get pulled over, or if you ever get in a situation with the police, please do not say anything. You are incriminating yourself or just giving the prosecution or the prosecutor more information to build a case against you. One of the best things you can do when you get pulled over is invoke what it's called the right to remain silent. But you have to invoke it. You have to say, I want to invoke my right to remain silent. Give them your identification or whatever you have to, and let them know that you want to call your lawyer, your parent, your representative, whatever that might be. And by law, they have to stop. Anything else that they get can be inadmissible in court. And that's huge, because that's how you're going to fight a crime. You're not going to fight the crime if you actually do have weed, right? If you actually have a gun in the car, if you actually did the crime, it's going to be very hard to fight and win in court. But the things that you can use are, there's rules, there's regulations. Most cops that pull you over, they're not super high on the totem pole unless a sergeant or somebody saw you do something very crazy. Normally, it's just a regular old police officer. These guys are not students of law. They're law enforcers, right? So they have did you know that when they say, do I have the right to search your car? No, you do not, sir. Well, are you guilty of something? What are you trying to hide? I'll get the drug dogs. Sir, I do not consent to a search of my vehicle. And it's important that you say that. A lot of people, what they do is like, fine, go ahead, man, just search it. You ain't gonna find nothing. You're wasting my goddamn time. Now you're opening yourself up to some BS, because if this is a dirty cop, he can drop a dime bag of whatever he wants in your car and get you charged, right? If you're really pissing him off. And you're also waiving, if you look at the dash cam or the body cam, that can be looked at as consent. Even if you were just like, fine, that's consent. Now anything that he finds can be admitted into court. So you have to say no, even if you know you're dirty, even if you know a drug dog's going to find something. Because if they find something, they might not be able to use it in court if you can argue that there was no probable cause to begin with. I know that's a lot. I did a video on it a while back and uploaded it, but feel free to leave a comment or so if you need me to break that down. I've done some videos about how to argue and win a gun case or a drug case. And again, I'm not representing or not even speaking or consulting. This is for educational purposes only, but definitely a video worth checking out, how to interact with police and what you should and shouldn't say or do. But yeah, if you must lie, be brief. The drawn out lies, you're creating a web of lies. And if you start with that initial lie and it's just branching out, you're going to have a lot more lies that you're going to need to do to keep your lie going. So if you have to lie, man, be brief. Make it yes or no. Make it something that you can remember. So if you have to do it, you shouldn't lie. Honor, But sometimes you just got to lie and take that shit to the grave, and that's just the honest truth. But when you do, be brief and don't start pulling out unnecessary details.
Which quote did you like the most? Share your opinion in the comments.
Yo, that's sick, and I love the approach because we always hear these top 10 for young men, and I'm reading it like, bro, that's lame, square, like that's just not how everyone lives their life, and as I said before, blackish, brownish people like us, sometimes our life can be a lot more fluid and can go many different directions. So it's important to approach life like some of these quotes. If you like it, like and subscribe. We go over everything from life-changing Al Capone quotes to intelligent spoken word, or some of hip-hop's newest releases. Anything that brings value to the community with something to say that's normally positive, I'm in for. Hey, leave a few comments if you got something you want us to check out.